So welcome to our week 4 of labs in C programming language in our programming languages course. And let's start with hopefully good news for you guys that I have extended deadline for the graded lab. This is a big assignment, right? Notice here, right? This one here from 13th of October, meaning next week, to the 21st of October currently. So you'll have an extra week, or actually extra 8 days to do this. So again, reminder, this is a harder assignment which will be graded, from basically from 0 to 10, right? So there are pretty clear instructions there, how it's graded from 4 to 10, what needs to be done basically, right? So this is something you can do once you're done with the, once you can start working already, once you're done with the usual, the easy labs for today. Right. Of course, you'll do it also next week, and you can work on it over your regular, when you have your free time as well. So this is a big assignment, just a reminder again. So you have now 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks, still time, right? So let's move on to this week's assignments, which are relatively easy, just some practice, meaning they won't be graded in detail, right? You just have to submit them, right? So the week 4 is dynamic memory and structures. Basically, you need to create a simple dynamic array using malloc, right? I'm sure if you've done C++, you've done it before, right? This comes from C language actually, malloc, right? So this won't be nothing too new, right? Of course, you have to free the memory when you are done, right? That's an important point. And second and third task are very related. Second basically lets you create a structure for students, right? Student, which has some fields, right? And then you have to add some data on using this structure. So pretty simple. So basically 2 students is enough, right? Something like this. Of course, you can enter your names there or something like that. And third one builds on the second task, and you define structure students, same one, right? And you need to allocate some memory for students, basically using malloc, right? And you ask for the number of students, read the student's name, right, from the user, basically, and then you somehow output the results. Maybe you have time to sort and do something else if you want, but you don't have to actually do anything else besides this, right? Depends how much you want to do, right? Something like this. You enter the data and then you output it, right? This is basically what most programs do actually, CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. You just read and we show basically right here. Now, as usual, submissions, I prefer if you submit your repository, same one, hopefully it's the same one you've been using before, right? Git add, git commit, git push, right? Or you can submit the source files, or you can do both, right? You can also do both, right? Either, any of these options will work. I have added some web resources here. Right, some of them are not very authoritative, but they should be decent. I like the best C++ reference is the one I personally like. It's the most authoritative. Marshall Learn is also okay, I guess. Right, so as usual, right, I won't check too much on memory leaks, right? I mentioned this, but of course not in this assignment, it's not crucial, but of course it's very good practice. And of course in the real life programming you should not leak memory. Okay, so that is basically it for today. However, so also do the quiz, of course, 10 relatively easy questions on theory. And maybe you have time, I can show you how it would look on the on a code space, right? So let's see. If you do git pull, let me do clear here, right? So you open up your code space, not mine, right? You do git pull, right? Let's do git pull, right? Or git pull origin, right? I have some instructions updated actually here in this case, right? You'll have some files updated, right? Git pull, like I think it's upstream, I think it's called, or right? And basically you have to have these 3 files here, and also make file is updated as well, right? Because I have the lab 4 tasks here, right? How to build them, right? Instructions added, right? So you need to update 4 files. You have 3 new files, week41, week42, week43, and make file, right? So what it means is now you do make clean, right? Clear, right? And now I can do make lab 4, right? And this will compile these 3 files, make lab 4, right? You can also do make all also works, but make lab 4 will build, and notice, right? Right now it builds with warnings. Because why? Because of course these are not filled. It just has your stubs or skeletons, right? You have to do some work, right? You only have basically, pretty reasonable instructions, a couple to-dos which you can do pretty easily. Now, second one is same thing, actually shows you example. So again, should be very close. We can closely follow this example uncomment it if you want, basically it will work, right? So very, very simple. Now, of course, you have to read assign some values. The second part is easy, right? Maybe the hardest one is, of course, third one, right? Where you would use the same thing, right? But you need to use some way of reading the information from a command line input, basically, from a input on a console, right? So this would be slightly more involved, right? You might probably will take you most time of this lab. All right. So that is basically concludes these instructions. Again, when you do make lab 4, you should not have any warnings anymore, right? When you do all the tasks, right? That's one of your goals. All right, good luck and see you in the lab.